Bonjour, race fans, and welcome back to the Collegiate iRacing League and to the Formula College World Championship, where tonight we visit the land of maple syrup, hockey, and Tim Hortons. Welcome to the virtual Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal, Canada, site of the Formula One Canadian Grand Prix and tonight's Formula C Canadian GP. This track, of course, named after the late Formula One driver Gilles Villeneuve, opened in 1968 and challenges drivers with aspects of both traditional and street circuits, as well as sporting the famous Wall of Champions on the exit of the final corner onto the pit straight, which has claimed the cars of various legendary drivers such as Schumacher, Vettel, Kubica, Hill, and maybe tonight, a few of our Formula C pilots. Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, as you can see on your screen, is 2.71 miles or 4.36 kilometers long and has 14 turns, 7 to the right and 7 to the left, with 3 sectors on this relatively flat racetrack. Lap times here will be about 1 minute and 38 seconds, with the Formula C lap record yet to be set, but our Muhammad Alif is currently fastest in practice with a time of 1:37.153. A lap at Montreal is a quick and thrilling challenge for these drivers, and it all starts with a slight right-hand kink into turns 1 and 2, our first major overtaking opportunity. Through the Virage Senna, past Yuki Tsunoda's parking lot, and down the short chute into turns 3 and 4, 2 lightning-fast but critical left-right corners, into the turn 5 right-hander kink, sets us up for turns 6 and 7, another potential overtaking opportunity for the Brave. This will dump the drivers out onto the backstretch and lead them into turns 8 and 9, another quick right to left chicane, and we then approach La Pingle, a more than 180-degree hairpin corner, and the third major overtaking opportunity on this circuit. This, possibly the slowest corner on the Formula C calendar this season, will lead drivers to the Draw du Casino, one of the longest and fastest straights on the calendar, where drivers will approach the final chicane, turns 13 and 14 at almost 145 miles an hour. And of course, the lap completes with turn 14, the famous Wall of Champions, before crossing the line to start it all again. And Josh, this is going to be a very exciting race. We have 2 incredible title fights heating up in our student and our alumni divisions. But with a lot of drivers out on spring break this week, we've got a smaller field size. So hopefully this will lead to some more competitive racing, as I believe practice has just come to an end and we're going to start qualifying laps here shortly.
Yeah, as you can see, these drivers rolling out for qualifying. Not too much spacing between the cars right now. And Zach, I think you said it. I think the hairpin is going to be key. I think that we know that the draft in these F4 cars has been amusing all season long, and we'll see that on the backstretch as well. Really, one of the longest ones that we'll get to this season. Not quite as long as Road Atlanta, but drivers will have plenty of time to think on the backstretch down into the final chicane and into the Wall of Champions. That's going to be something that's key. We won't have telemetry on the cars, but it'll be fun to see drivers as they try and brake as late as they can. And we've talked about one of the ways they can do that is put that brake bias to the rear, give a little bit of gas, even under the braking zone as you go in. And so, Zach, I think what we're going to see is a couple drivers who probably lose it under braking. We'll see that back end step out. I also think that while we will have our cameras on the Wall of Champions the whole time, I think we'll have our other cameras pointed right there at that slow hairpin where these drivers are going to try and outbrake each other and get ahead before. That's going to be another move. And so we'll see a little bit of that. We may see a little bit of drivers who don't want to be ahead exiting that corner because, again, that draft is strong and it might be better to be second, but only if you can get down to that inside and get past, by the Wall of Champions. So we're riding on board here with Cale Davidson. Zach, take us for a lap around this track.
Yeah, this track, like I said, offers both the best and the worst of street circuits and traditional circuits. As you can see, it's still very wide open. As turn 2 opens up onto this short stretch and a tight little, a very wide kink will set you up for turn 3. These are 2 very critical corners. It's very easy to lose the car right there, like Cale Davidson does. Just a little tap of the wall on the exit of turn 4, and then that's going to set him up for these 2. These 2 quick corners right here, turns 6 and 7, very critical because this backstretch is so long. And like you said, Josh, the draft and the toe is very, very strong in these Formula 4 cars. So you definitely don't want to be the car ahead, especially on this backstretch and on the front stretch as well. very tight all the way on the brakes, using every bit of curbing through turns 9 and 10, that chicane that sets you up for the second backstretch, and this is the heaviest braking zone on the track. All the way into the hairpin, you can see getting that car slowed all the way down, and actually Davidson's going to miss the apex, but get as wide to the wall as he can on exit, and that will set him up for this long casino straightaway, over 3/4 of a mile long, actually. So up there with Road Atlanta as one of the longest stretches that we'll see this season. So look forward to a lot of these cars using the toe down these straightaways to really pull alongside and make these lunges, especially here into turns 13 and 14. The last little chicane, going to get all the way close to the wall on exit, and that will complete a lap here at Montreal.
Yeah, and that little rise in our voices will happen just about every time those cars pass that tire barrier in the final corner, but that is the fast way around here. And so we can see a couple of laps popping in there. KL Davidson, obviously, you just saw him start his first flying lap. Muhammad Alif, also from Ball State, has his first lap in the books, as does St. Clair's Athena Leclerc. Cameras on Cohen Evans from IUP UI right now. He's trying to get that Jaguar machine around here as quick as he can. And is this his out lap, or is this a counted lap? As we can see, another couple drivers coming across. Looks like IUPUI and Cohen Evans has started now. He is P3 up top of the board, so that was a flying lap for Cohen. And IUPI UI up on the board in the qualifying podium, if you will. And, Zach, as these drivers are trying to put in their times, a bit of a ways to go in qualifying. Those two chicanes on the backstretch, and actually Cohen is about to hit the first one now, maybe with a little bit of toe. Not sure if that's an advantage on this part of the track. But it is the fastest to try and open up those corners as much as you can, even hook a wheel a little bit on those curbs right there that Evans is driving through. And also, it's going to be really tricky for drivers to stay off of the grass under braking. And that's going to be something as these cars go in nose to tail into these corners, they're going to have to stay off the grass. Not so much of an issue in this chicane here, though really taking the V8 Supercars line is Muhammad Alif, Ball State University. Bit of a toe there. I wonder if that was some team wisdom right there. And yeah, that'll improve the 12 cars time to 137 and 209, and looks like squarely a second ahead of anybody behind. But yeah, I think the crash is
right here, maybe from Ball State. Cale Davidson out in front of Muhammad Alif was able to use that. Alif was able to use that toe to improve on his qualifying time to further strengthen his grip on that pole position. Looks like Cale Davidson is going to go try himself and set another lap here, Josh.
Yeah, Kale's going to go and put one down, and he helped his teammate out. Now he's got an opportunity to do his best here, so we'll see. And Cale Davidson has no slouch in these cars. He's pretty quick, and he's been very consistent all season. And you can see, yeah, he's really got that car rotating. Zach, that looked good into that chicane, using all the curb. And somebody, by the way, not the wall of champions right there, but somebody will find that wall this evening, and it doesn't take too much to knock a wheel off the front of one of these F4 cars. And so here's your chicane. That's a little bit better apex than we've seen. And yeah, down into the corner. He's going to try and get down the straightaway fast as he can. And Cale Davidson, that's going to be a pretty solid lap. Pending the final chicane, pretty solid lap from Davidson and Ball State University.
Just over halfway through qualifying, Muhammad Alif from Ball State University is currently on provisional pole. Nick Daly just went second fastest overall, 7 tenths behind. Athena Leclerc of St. Clair College, what many folks would consider to be the home team here. That school out of St. Clair, Canada, just across the river from Detroit, I believe. So this is the home race for St. Clair. Athena Leclerc, Dan Banner, Zach DeWale in the grid tonight from the Saints iRacing Academy. So look for them to have a good showing tonight as Alexander Diamond gets really loose out of the hairpin, put a little too much power down too quickly, and that's going to let Nick Stockner get behind him and get a really nice draft down the front straightaway. So this should be a good lap incoming from Stockner. A little further on down the order, Alex Diamond has just snugged his way up into P5 with a 39.035. And then Andrew Williams, Cohen Evans, Andrew Burrell, Dan Banner, Tyler Klingensmith will round out the provisional top 10. And it looks like Cohen Evans has just improved on his lap time. That time by, he will sneak into the He will sneak back into third position where he was earlier with a 38.2.
Yeah, and there goes Alex Diamond, Drexel University. He's going to try and make another lap. That's pretty good. Was in the stewarding booth last night for the CCS race, Cup Series race, and now takes his time on track and has been again pretty consistent when he's not caught up in some on track mistakes. Sometimes it's a little bit hairy out there with all these drivers, but through no fault of his own, really good season for Diamond, and he's going to try and make his way. 4 minutes to go now in qualifying, so we'll see if Alex and others can improve on their time just a little bit. But yeah, that'll be a tricky part. And you can see great shot from the crew right there, as you can see just how close these cars and quickly they approach that wall.
Yeah, that last lap that we saw from Nick Stockner did not count. He exceeded track limits, so that lap time was deleted, but he was able to get back around another time and put up a 1:43.1, which is not the best of laps. But there still are a couple drivers who have yet to set a qualifying time. Nick Patinella and Matt Stawecki, two of them out there that have yet to go out on track or register a lap time. As we're now approaching 3 minutes left. Yeah, 3 minutes left in this qualifying session. So about two more laps as Diamond goes completely sideways through the chicane as he was on a screamer of a lap. But it looks like he may have caught just a hair of that turn 14 wall, and that did not do him any favors that time. It was a great lap up until then, but just lost it. I think I saw the car wiggle a little bit under braking, and that Drexel machine was completely sideways on exit of turn 13 and 14.
Yeah, and it does not take much to knock one of these cars out of shape right there. As you can see, Zach DeWale also doing that. Yeah, a little bit of grass right there, but he'll get it flipped and reset. Zach will. But yeah, these drivers you see right there leading the alumni championship. That's the University of Texas at Arlington, and Nick Daly behind the wheel, leading both the driver and the constructor of the school championship. And likewise, Ball State University in a really, really good position, up by about 50 points. Not an insurmountable gap, but a comfortable gap, approaching the third to last race of the season here in the FC Championship. Ball State University looking pretty good. A little bit of racing action behind as those two drivers try and figure out who's going to be in. Yeah, this is not how you'd want your flying qualifying lap, but Ball State, anyways, going to try and get on down the road. And you can see Clemson University's Andrew Burrell right there, and maybe Ball State will tuck in line for a little bit of a draft.
Yeah, I think Burrell was focused on trying to get a little bit closer to Nicholas Daly from UT Arlington to get that toe. Is actually Daly dips his tires a little bit into the grass on entry to turn 13. Lucky to keep that car straight as he's going to come across the line again. We're going to see if he can improve on his lap. Currently 7/10 and change behind Alif. Will he improve his lap time? Doesn't look like it. A 1:38.0. The time to beat right now, 37.209 from Alif, and I believe that lap time will stand unless Daly can get it back around and set a screamer of a lap. As actually Alif has just gone off. I believe that's outside of turn 2. He spun the car, but no harm, no foul there for Alif. As I think he's looking at his provisional pole position and saying, I'll take that.
Yeah, I would assume so, and I think that's simply down to these drivers now. They all have a lap scored, and so with that out of the way, they're free to go on full attack and complete that 1/100th of a lap that everybody's working pretty hard to get, and even yeah, it's pretty common as well in Formula SAE challenges. We used to have two runs. The first one was always your safe run, and then the second one you were allowed to have a little bit more dessert. So talked about Drexel University in the form of Alex Diamond, his teammate Jason Wallot, that number 76 machine, trying to make his way down, and it looks like didn't quite get to the end, Zach, before we completed the qualifying session. And there's the grid.
Yep, it's time to get into tonight's starting grid for Sprint Race 1 of our Formula C Canadian Grand Prix. From pole position, Muhammad Ali from Ball State. As per usual, seems like we're seeing him up front. But to his outside, title contender Nicholas Daly in the alumni category from UT Arlington. Cohen Evans from IUPUI will start third in that 37 car. To his outside, Cale Davidson, a Leafs teammate from Ball State, will start fourth. Athena Leclerc and Zach DeWale complete a St. Clair lockout of row 3 for the home team. In row 4, Alex Diamond from Drexel and Andrew Williams from Clemson University, I believe, will start his highest that he ever has in Formula C this season. His teammate Andrew Burrell, also from Clemson, will start in P9. Dan Banner from St. Clair College will start P10. Jason Wallet, Drexel University, starts 11th. Ishan Bassine from Beloit College starts 12th on the grid. Looking a little further back in 13th place, Tyler Klingensmith from Robert Morris University. Ryan Wilson from Minnesota State Mankato starts 14th. Nick Stockner from Clemson University starts 15th. Nicholas Patinella from Robert Morris starts 16th. And 17th goes to Matt Stowecki from James Madison University. And Josh, I believe we are all set and ready to go. The drivers are queued, and we are about ready for lights out.
Yeah, they're getting ready. Just trying probably 20 more seconds for them to check their settings, get everything set up, and yeah, it's going to be a little bit of mental game. We have had a few tracks where there was some mulligans, Zach, but this one's not going to be that way. This track is lined with walls. They don't even have safer barriers. So, gonna be tricky. Got the lights going on now, and these drivers are going to be ready to go at any minute here. So at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, these drivers getting ready. That is your pole sitter, the 12 car, Ball State University. The green flag is underway. We are off and away right now. And it is your leader, the 12 car, who gets away first. An excellent start. 2x2, though. Nick Daly under early pressure. Cohen Evans going to try and carry momentum around the outside, but I don't know if it's going to stick. And Texas at Arlington is your P2. Meantime, the rest of these drivers try and get their single file sorted out. Looks like Ball State will take fourth position. Trouble, that's the 61, Athena Leclerc, off on your screen right there, the St. Clair machine. These drivers continue racing as they go through, and that is back to IUPUI. Yeah, top four pretty well sorted out, Zach.
Yeah, that was a great start from Cohen Evans as we have a huge pileup at the back of the field. I believe I see Stockner Stowecki. That's the 93 of Diamond is actually up on top of Nick Stockner right there. And what has happened here? We got to go back and check out a replay, but that is a massive incident at the back of the pack. But Cohen Evans had a great launch off the start, got underneath Nick Daly and had the move stuck in turn 1, but that switch back through turn 2 didn't quite work, and now he is under fire from the Ball State car of Cale Davidson behind. Muhammad Alif has sprung out to a 1.5 second gap already over Nick Daly, with Cohen Evans about 7/10 behind Daly himself, but he has a rear view mirror full of Cale Davidson as they come down the casino straight for the first time. Will Davidson get the toe enough to make a look to the inside? Doesn't look like he presents an attack right there, but that battle will surely continue. We're going to keep a close eye on the Wall of Champions as you see Zach DeWale, the 5th car in that line. Then Andrew Burrell, Jason Wallet, Dan Banner, Tyler Klingensmith, Nick Patinella, your top 10 as everything settles out. We have a lot of retirements from that first incident. I think I see Sean Bassine, Alex Diamond, Athena Leclerc, Ryan Wilson. Nick Stockner was able to stay out on track, but it looks like Andrew Williams has come into the pits. Here's a look at that incident. You can see just the gaggle of cars coming through the Little Kink just after turn 4. And what was that? I think that was... who was that? It was a Drexel car. Was that Wallet? That just looks like he got a little oversteery and overcorrected into another driver. That was Diamond. Excuse me.
Yeah, that was Diamond here off the corner. Gets a little bit out of shape as he comes out of this first chicane, and isn't the biggest concern. Oh, there's the first touch. Looks like an accordion effect, and Williams was sent in to Leclerc. That's your first issue, but yeah, Diamond coming out. He gets a little bit loose right here. Maybe something not quite in line on that car, and yeah, just a weird series of momentum. And then I got to say that the drivers here, Stockner, Diamond, and then the other Drexel car, Jason Wallat. Zach, you have to have awareness on the first lap. That's a surprise to see from those drivers. We know Jason Wallat actually just completed the the eNASCAR and NACE series, the B main this evening at MIS in the Cup cars, the next gen Cup cars, excuse me, Xfinity Cup cars. Um, and unfortunately, looks like he will have some time to reflect. As yeah, I see on another 5 cars in the pits.
That was Alex Diamond, the other Drexel car, actually. And it looks like he may have picked up some damage after that contact with Williams, where he and Williams made contact, and that shunted into the back of Athena Leclerc, which sent her into the grass. So unfortunate there for all those drivers involved, but that is why we have 2 sprint races. Their night is not over. They will be able to come back, but we're going to look back up towards the front as Cohen Evans is still under fire from Cale Davidson. That gap out front has increased to over 3 seconds now for our Muhammad Alif between Nick Daly and Cohen Evans and Cale Davidson are going at it right now, folks. This is P2 and P3 in our student championship before the race. Only 8 points separate these 2 drivers. It's Davidson over Evans in the points championship, so or in the drivers championship on our student side. So this is a very, very crucial battle that we're going to keep an eye on because this has major championship implications. Just a look at your championship standings. Our Muhammad Alif already with one hand on the student championship trophy. He has a 60-point lead over Cale Davidson, his teammate, in second. So Ball State has the 1-2 lockout as Cohen Evans looks to the inside, gets a great exit out of the hairpin, looks to the inside of Nicholas Daly, is going to get the nose ahead as they come into the chicane for the 3rd time. Who's going to be later on the brakes? It's Daly to the outside. Cohen Evans makes the move, stick to the inside, and he goes all the way up against the wall of champions. Daly does not get a good exit, and now that's going to let Cale Davidson to his outside, and he's going to have the preferred line going into turn 1 and 2. Cohen Evans able to walk away with the 2nd position, but Daly to the inside of Davidson, and he will make that move stick to retain the 3rd position and mitigate the damage he got from that oh-so-woeful exit out of the hairpin.
Yeah, that hairpin, he was pretty wide on that. I don't think Texas at Arlington was planning on that. But with qualifying results, I'm not surprised to see the 6-second gap now that our Muhammad Alif and Ball State have put on this pack. However, pretty excited to see these guys race. And yeah, I thought actually Daly might have a little bit of an edge over the other 2 on your screen, but maybe not the case. Or maybe has just caught a little bit of damage. I did see just a brush with the wall of champions when Nick Daly came through last time. But nonetheless, I think he is trying to go on the attack, and he can now a little bit because quite the gap has gone back to Cale Davidson.
Yeah, this battle's going to heat up as they go through the chicane one more time. Working on lap 4, coming to lap 5 of 13 in sprint race number 1. Our Muhammad Alif out in front by over 6 seconds now as Nick Daly is going to try and take a look to the outside of Cohen Evans. This battle heating up once again. Daly's going to use the toe. Cohen Evans moves to the inside to defend, and he's going to retain that position. And actually, he blows completely through the chicane. Both of them miss the chicane, although Cohen Evans, the big loser in that incident, as Nick Daly went a little too shallow in turn 14, but he will come out with the spot as Cohen Evans will lose out on P4 or P3 as well. Davidson will go through, and now Davidson takes the upper hand in not only the race, but in the championship battle as well. But going back and looking at those standings, our Muhammad Alif first with a 60-point lead over his teammate Cale Davidson. Cohen Evans only 8 points behind Davidson from IUPUI. Carmine Caruso sits 4th, and Soren Burkholder 5th, with Athena Leclerc in 6th, then Santos, Diamond, Dinkle, and Andrew Williams, the last driver in the top 10 in our championship standings. Some of the drivers that we see there are not in the session tonight, either due to personal reasons or the fact that it's spring break for a lot of drivers, but each driver does have one drop week that they can use to any of their races. Actually, that's their lowest scoring race that drop week is applied to. It is completely eliminated from the point standings. So a lot of drivers using spring break to their advantage really here tonight. But this battle is heating up as Alif continues to pull away at the front of the field. Nick Daly with a slightly uncomfortable lead over Cale Davidson right now. Even though he is not fighting those 2 behind him for position, it's still nice to be able to finish P2 overall in the race, although Nick Daly is your alumni class race leader at the moment, but Davidson and Evans still fighting for not only the race position, but also for every point they can get in the championship. And you can see it's a game of inches coming off of turn 14 as they try to get as close to that wall to get a great exit. And while not hitting it, as Cohen Evans is going to look to the inside of Davidson into turn 1, he's got the position. He goes in front and makes a great dive bomb move stick on the 17 of Davidson and will take back that second position, or excuse me, that third position, second in the student class, as we're going to work on lap 6 of 13.
Yeah, and I'll add to that list as these drivers continue to live their lives. Normally, we see Minnesota's Lucas Santos, who is not with us tonight. He's getting back from running his first marathon. He was able to accomplish this weekend. So, congrats, Lucas, and University of Minnesota. Love to see the varied hobbies in the field, but right now, under heavy fire, will the drive out now? Ball State still in line, and you have to assume that Ball State is waiting to make that move until the long draft of the big front stretch, and that'll be an optimal time. Yeah, not where you want to pull out right here. Cohen Evans going to have his defensive hands full back as he goes over here, and so these drivers are going to let Nick Daly get away just a little bit, and this is probably the closest race at the moment as these drivers barrel down towards the final chicane.
Just a quick glimpse at your alumni standings coming into this race. Round 5 of 7. Nicholas Daly is your points leader from UT Arlington over Ted Burns, who could not race tonight. The third place driver currently is Nick Patinella, 49 points behind Nick Daly, and Patinella currently is being scored in the 9th position. So he is running on fumes when it comes to points right now, and opportunities for either Davidson to make a mistake or for Patinella to capitalize on a good points finish. Taking a look at Tyler Klingensmith right now, he was in the 12th position running. That is Jason Wallet just ahead of him, and you can see a little mistake right there sends him into the wall. And who was that behind him that completely blew through that corner? And that's a pretty significant amount of damage to Klingensmith's car, and I believe that is a retirement from him.
Yeah, this is turning out to be one of the trickier tracks, Zach. No surprise to us, I don't think, but especially coming off even Road Atlanta, Montreal with the tight spaces simply does not allow the margin of error that some of the other venues do, and so I think we're seeing that tonight. That is now 5 cars shown on the bottom of your tower in grayed out letters, and looks like a little bit wide right there for Cohen Evans. Is that a chance for Ball State University? That would be a chance for Cohen to keep up his momentum, but you can see just closing ever slightly is that 17 car, and there's the Spirit. Yeah, and the production crew giving us an awesome shot. That's not what you want to see in your mirrors, and it looks like wing to wing as we go down in the corner, and the inside line will prevail. I think that's a smart move right now with 5 laps to go. That was probably something to save for the last lap there if you're Ball State University and Cale Davidson. But yeah, smarter heads prevail. And these two drivers, big lockup. IUPUI. He'll have to take the service road. He will have a slowdown from this, so he's got to give back the time that he's gained, and it will not be advantageous, as iRacers know, on that portion of the track. And so, for the time being, Cale Davidson and Ball State will prevail, and they will come through. And yeah, just had to get inside the other driver's head a little bit.
Yeah, massive mistake from Cohen Evans right there. I don't know if it was a mental mistake or maybe something wasn't right with the car going into turn 1 that time, but massive lockup going into turn 1, completely missed the corner and had to take, like you said, that service road through turn 2, and that is going to tack on at least a couple seconds to the lead that he had over, or that's going to tack on a couple seconds to Davidson's lead over him, and you can see it's like he just missed the braking point going into the corner there. He might have been focused on the car of Davidson behind, making sure that he took Davidson's line away and getting defensive, and that forced Evans into a mistake.
Yeah, I think so, and that won't be the first time we see it. Boy, if this is the first race And I'm not sure what we can expect in the second race, which is traditionally a little bit more elbows out, if we can say so. But now everybody's a little bit spaced out, and if those cars aren't too damaged, they'll have the ability to catch back up if Cohen Evans can put some real laps together. He might need quality pace, though. I did just see, it's off the screen now, but our Muhammad Alif has just run his fastest lap of the race. No surprise that that gap is up to 11 seconds. But see on your screen, University of Clemson, fresh out of the pits, had a little bit of an issue and had to replace those parts. Zach, it is kind of nice now that iRacing has updated the damage model such that if you are able to take your car back to the garage rather than some arbitrary fixes, you can get quote unquote new parts on your car. So Andrew Williams there with a fresh set of tie rods and a new front wing.
Yeah, it's great. iRacing's always working on their cars, adding new little things here and there to improve the realism of their simulator. It was actually something that I noticed in practice. This is our first Formula C race since the big update, the big Season 2 update a couple weeks ago. And I guess iRacing must have done something with the damage model because you now can completely lose your rear wing and front nose cone. I think I saw in that first major incident, I think I saw Nick Stockner's nose cone go flying across the track. But you'll be able to pull down in the pits. They'll pull the old one off for you, put a new one on, and you can get right back there out on the track. I think the only damage that will completely end your day is if you break a suspension link on any of your tires. If the wheel comes completely separated from the car, then your day is done. But of course, looks like Drew Williams able. He got the long end of the stick there per se, and keeping his wheels attached to the car, only taking aerodynamic damage, he was able to get it down, repaired, and come back out, albeit 1 lap down, or excuse me, 4 laps down from the leader. But we look at our Muhammad Alif, who has dominated this race in a very commanding way. He's up to 12 seconds. He's over a second faster a lap than second place Nick Daly, which is just incredible to think about. Uh, I'll be interested to see some of the fastest lap statistics and others after this race as to just how blistering of a pace our Muhammad Alif is setting here. If Ted Burns was here, this would certainly be interesting to see how the two of them compared. Your two title contenders on the student side and on the alumni side they've gone at it a lot this season already. But our Muhammad Alif showing the way, and he looks completely untouchable tonight. As he's working on lap 10, now coming to lap 11 of 13 in this first sprint race, and now we'll turn our attention to sprint race number 2 in the invert that happens between sprint races 1 and 2, where the top 10 finishing cars in the race will be inverted. So if you finish first in sprint race 1, you're gonna start in the 10th position for number 2. And if you finish number 10 in sprint race number 1, you will start on pole for sprint race number 2. And right now, that goes to Nicholas Patinella from Robert Morris University, who, by the way, is only a few points off of the lead in the alumni championship against Nick Daly, who is currently running P2. So Daly would start in 9th for sprint race 2 with Patinella on the pole if the race ended this time. But of course, still 2 laps to go. A lot of racing left in this sprint race for our Formula C Canadian Grand Prix, and we will see how everything there shakes out in just a few minutes.
Yeah, that'll be fun, and you can see just behind was Nick Stockner. He was the recipient of that invert position, pole position in the second heat, and then a lot of excitement followed for him at Road Atlanta 2 weeks ago. But yeah, we'll see who can finish out. Certainly, nothing's set in stone until the checkered flag flies, but that'll be an opportunity for Robert Morris University and also Matt Stawecki from James Madison University has been running FC pretty consistently, finishing well this season, and if he stays where he's at, could have an opportunity going forward. Jason Wallet from Drexel University as well, but we can count the chickens after they hatch, Zach. Right now we are, and as you see, Nick Stockner on your screen from Clemson University, but as we go into the final 2 laps, yeah, Ted Burns would be an exciting addition to this race, but man, I don't know if anybody is touching our Muhammad Alif, and looking ahead if he brings this one home. I think that he's got a pretty easy script to follow that would be pretty calm for a couple laps, as we know that some of the cars will invariably fall out. And then, yeah, if he can chip away at the leader at his pace right now, that's 3 to 5 tenths a lap. It's going to be really hard for anybody to stop him.
Yeah, and Elif cannot clinch the title just yet in the Canadian GP, but as we look ahead next round to our Finger Lakes Grand Prix at Watkins Glen, uh, there is a chance he could win he could win the Formula C Student Championship an entire race early, but he would need to win both sprint races today and at Watkins Glen for us to be even having that conversation. So Alif has put together an incredible season after just barely losing out on the title last season to UT Arlington's, or no, that was Kent State and Jordan Johnson that he just barely lost out to. So he took that personally this season and has put together a dominant performance. Already has 3 wins on the season in the sprint races. Uh, but good to see him back, and he's back with a vengeance, and he's making that known that he is the dominant force of Formula C. And if you want to come to play, you better be ready to take him down.
Yeah, he is, and Ball State University as a whole, I think we have said it before as we take the white flag for this time around, but um, Ball State has developed a really solid 1-2 punch in that 12 and 17 car, but we have discussed that at length. And so coming around for the final time, he's got 1 lap to go as our Muhammad Alif, you see right there, and everybody has agreed to be pretty spread out at this point. Couple drivers have exited the pits, mended their cars, and that'll be pretty well done on them because they will want to retain that finishing position, especially drivers like Andrew Williams, Stockner, and Patinella, especially Patinella, who could still be the recipient of the pole position in the second race. But those drivers getting out, that will be a points scoring venture for them, or finishing position. That will be their starting position for the next race. And so coming down into the hairpin, you can see our Muhammad Alif. Yeah, not too close to the grass. We don't need to push so hard. This one, he's going to finish this lap. Is a little wiggle on the exit of the hairpin. I take it back. He's going to try and he's going to finish this race about 15 seconds ahead of P2. And so Texas at Arlington has run a good race in their own right. Nick Daly at the wheel, but absolutely nothing, Zach, for this Ball State driver here as he comes through the final chicane past the wall of champions for the final time in this heat, our Muhammad Alif.
Victory wiggles for our Muhammad Alif and Ball State University as he will cross the line and win sprint race number 1 at the Canadian Grand Prix. We're going to wait for him to get out of his car and see if we can get an interview with him. But as we look further on back on down the grid, Nicholas Daly will easily secure P2 in this race, followed by Cale Davidson from Ball State. So 2 Ball State drivers on the podium in sprint race number 1. Cohen Evans was able to keep the car straight after that incident he had in turn 1 a few laps ago and bring it home P4. Zach DeWale from St. Clair College will do his country proud and finish 5th in sprint race number 1. Andrew Burrell, the highest finishing Clemson driver in this sprint race, will bring it home 6th. Dan Banner will bring it home 7th. The alumni from St. Clair, he also has done his home country proud with a top 10 finish. A little further on back, Jason Wallet, the College Cup Series Daytona 250 champ, will finish 8th. Matt Stowecki, 9th. And Nick Patinella will finish 10th, and by virtue of that will secure pole position for sprint race number 2.
Yeah, and a good finish that it was, Zach. These drivers getting a lot of notes and getting some good green flag, unabated green flag laps in at this track that will come in to play for the second race here as we see our final Alexander Diamond, Drexel University. He's going to cross that line, but a lot of these drivers able to get ready for this one, take some notes and see how the track is racing. It'll be a little bit worn in with the traffic that we've had this evening, but nothing too big just yet.
Yeah, I think you're right. The biggest thing that our drivers will come into race two knowing is having picking up that knowledge from race one is we're going to do a little bit of warm up to let the drivers get prepped for sprint race number two, to dial in those last couple tweaks, maybe changing the braking positions as the rubber gets laid down on the track. But the drivers now have race experience. They know what the track feels like in the draft. They know what it's like to be around other drivers, and they're going to use that knowledge in sprint race number two, especially as some of our slower drivers, by virtue of finishing further back in the field, will now be starting up at the front. So you'll have faster drivers coming from the back of the field up to the front, trying to retake the lead, as well as the drivers who start up front, trying to defend against those faster drivers, and that always makes for some incredible action. But before we get to sprint race number two, let's talk to our man of the hour. Our Muhammad Alif once again brings it home on top of the podium. Sprint race number one. Congratulations, Alif. Another huge points haul, and I think it's safe to say you now have one hand on the student championship here in Formula C. What was your biggest takeaway from sprint race number one as we go towards number two?
Hey, thanks, Zach. Yeah, I was just kind of driving on pure rage from Road Atlanta. Yeah, I promised to myself that I didn't want to feel like that again. Sorry about the background noise. I'm in the esports center. But yeah, it was. I was just trying to push the whole way around, and yeah, made it.
Congratulations on a really strong first run. But we talked a little bit about, we feel like the strategy is pretty straightforward going forward into this race. But do you think there will be a lot of incidents between cars in the next event? And have you seen it's a little bit trickier here with the walls so close to the track?
Yeah, it is actually very very tricky to drive out there. I had to take care of my rear tires quite a lot of management on my side, but yeah, for sure it's going to be quite chaotic considering it's going to be reverse grid. But yeah, it's going to be great entertainment for you guys. So yeah, hope to put on a good show for you guys.
Awesome. Well, we do love entertainment very much. It's very exciting from our vantage point. And congratulations again, and best of luck in the next race.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think Zach he hit the nail on the head. It will be exciting for these drivers to go through the next race.
I think I left that interview a little more confused than when I started because he said he had to save tires, but yet he was still 15 seconds faster than the rest of the field. Uh, I I think that is just a testament to how incredibly skilled he is as a driver, as well as that entire Ball State program. You heard him uh, with the noise in the background. He's racing with his fellow drivers tonight. I wanted to tell him to tell Kale hi for me. Uh, he's probably in there with him, but man, that is extremely impressive from the driver of the 12 to say that he's having to go out there and conserve resources, and he still just smacked the field.
Yeah, I think so. And there's a couple ways to put down fast laps, right? Drivers can attack corners. Drivers can be very aggressive in general in their inputs. Drivers can also be very smooth, and even laps where some drivers have saved fuel or saved tires, they've found a little bit of pace just through the discipline of driving the car in a much more polite manner. So again, our Muhammad Alif, very talented behind the wheel of that Ball State machine. No surprise there that he's got pace even while managing the tires. Yeah, I don't think he was driving around at 70%, but I am sure that he was monitoring his equipment and making sure that those tires got to the end of that first sprint race.
And you heard him talk about how the even for him the walls around here were very tricky. So I think a lot of these drivers are maybe driving on eggshells a little bit to try and keep the cars out of the walls. As we saw somebody smack the wall of champions right there that time by down the front stretch in the warm up. Um, but you heard it. You gotta find the right balance between aggression and attacking, and raw speed and performance versus not making sure you don't overheat your rear tires, don't overdrive the car, don't lock up the brakes. going into a corner like we saw Cohen Evans do in turn one. Ouch, that hurt. Um, but make sure that you're not making mistakes that are going to ruin your race. As warm up comes to a close, and we are ready for sprint race number 2. Here is your starting grid. Nicholas Patinella, by virtue of finishing 10th in sprint race number 1, has secured the pole for sprint race number 2. To his outside will be Matt Stawecki from James Madison University. Jason Wallet from Drexel will start third. Dan Banner from St. Clair College will start in the 4th position. Gridding 5th is Andrew Burrell from Clemson University. Zach DeWale, Banner's teammate, will start right behind him in the 6th position. Cohen Evans from IUPUI starts 7th. Cale Davidson from Ball State will start 8th. Nick Daly from UT Arlington starts 9th, and the 10th position belongs to R. Muhammad Alif. As the lights are out and we are green, go, go, go here in Montreal. Nick Patinella gets off to a really, really nice start. Matt Stawecki tucks in behind him. We are too wide throughout the rest of the field as they go into turn 1. Is that Andrew Burrell, who has gone wide, and Patinella has spun out of the lead in turn 2. That is a disaster for Patinella, as Matt Stawecki will assume the lead, and we have another incident and a huge crash. And that is a full course yellow, as multiple drivers have been involved at the front. I believe I saw, let's see, that's the 76, the 02's involved, Jason Wallet's involved. That's Zach DeWale from St. Clair College, and the safety car has been deployed in Montreal.
Yeah, I saw on another monitor the tail end of about 4 cars going in with interlocking wheels to that first chicane. And yep, second race, not surprised. You can see here, Nick Patinella, your pole sitter. It was a short-lived enjoyment, and I guess right here, yeah, cold tires. It's very easy, Zach. It looks so lazy, a lazy spin to viewers, but it's so easy to loop it right there. That really bunched the field up as they had to respond to that blockage across the track, and then you can see here these drivers as they get in. I see Texas at Arlington off. I saw a Ball State car off. Looks like Drexel University, Beloit College, Ishan Bassan making it through there, which is great. He was involved in the first race. You can see we're going to get another angle. That is Drexel University's Alex Diamond in your screen right there. And a great shot, as you can see, through. And everything was in front, I think, of Diamond. A big checkup. Actually, Diamond taking the wise line. He has chosen to maintain his car, so he will not have to pit at all for damage. I see a St. Clair car there. And yeah, big trouble.
Looking back at this incident, I see 2 St. Clair cars. Actually, the Ball State car makes contact with the St. Clair car, and then there's a Clemson car that comes out of nowhere, almost completely misses the corner, collects a couple cars, and then Ball State and St. Clair make contact again, coming out of the corner. I believe that was a Drexel involved as well. We're going to take another look at it here. This is going down the short chute out of turn 2, riding on board with Zach DeWale. Contact from behind, and yeah, he just runs into the back of the 76. And good heads up from all the drivers behind to recognize that there's a car wide, stopped wide on exit, and to get around that without making that incident any bigger than it was. But you can see the safety car has been deployed. Don't believe any drivers will elect to come to pit road and take new tires because they only put a couple corners on them. And in these F4 cars, they're really not powerful enough to need tires at any given point in a race. So we'll do a little eye pacing, as they affectionately call it, here in the CIL for a couple laps as we get the field restacked and ready to roll again. We'll wait for those lights on the pace car to go off. That will signify 1 lap until we resume racing. I believe this is only the 2nd safety car we've had in Formula C. So the way that this is going to work is all the cars will line up behind the safety car on the 1 to go lap. The restarts are single file, and the control car is the leader. So at any point from when the safety car pulls off the track until the line, the leader can go, and then everybody else behind him is playing catch up. And your control car will be Matt Stawecki from James Madison University. Andrew Burrell from Clemson University has worked his way up into the 2nd position. Dan Banner retains that spot behind him. And then Cohen Evans, R. Muhammad Alif, all the way up from 10th to 5th. by virtue of maybe missing that incident that he could have been involved in. So great heads up driving from Alif, Williams, Leclerc, and Daly to get around that as well. And we are going to we're gonna wait and see what race control has to say here. I know our live stewards are reviewing that incident as we speak, so we're gonna let y'all know as soon as we hear anything about that incident. As for penalties, fault, etc., we'll keep y'all updated on the show.
Yeah, lights off on the pace car. Same as last night. That means we're going to go green next time by. And yeah, James Madison University going to be under fire from Clemson University. Andrew Burrell with a pretty good showing thus far, able to do that. And Dan Banner, chief of the iRacing crew at St. Clair College, a successful group as it were. And very, very nice that Dan has a chance to come mix it up with the rest of the gang here. And yeah, I see a couple things. Zach, Muhammad Alif going to be in that P5. That's the Ball State car on your screen. He is behind Cohen Evans, who's going to want to try and move up. But yeah, we'll see just how far these drivers can get out. But experienced iRacers will note that down into this chicane was a pretty common pattern. A single car trying to follow two cars side by side, and your eyes get so big as you see the loss in momentum from those two cars and maybe an opportunity to go forward. But got to remember that both cars up ahead and out of position don't have the ability to take that line and get on the gas at the same point. So back when we rode on board, it was yeah, no surprise there from the St. Clair car that he just moved forward, tapped the Drexel machine. That was the first incident. And yeah, I think just unfortunate, Zach, that everybody couldn't agree between the Clemson car, the Ball State car, totally separate of the other incident down into the first chicanes. So lots of excitement there in the first chicane, and we'll see who gets to put their car back. The other nice part is that other drivers will be able to reset and fix their car.
Single file restart incoming for the last time under safety car. This caution coming down the Casino Straight, this long 3/4 mile stretch. Maybe an opportunity for the nerves to get in these drivers' heads as they're anticipating the drop of the green flag. Once again, the restart is on the leader. So Matt Stawecki is the control car. He can hit the gas at any point after that safety car makes the left, or rather the straight, onto pit road. Through the chicane, Matt Stawecki's going to hit the gas. Barney's going to throw the green flag, and we're back to racing here in Montreal, and we still single file down the front straightaway, and I think that is going to be the same into turn one. A couple of movers towards the back of the pack, fanning out 2 wide, possibly even 3 into the corner. I think that's Drew Williams and Cohen Evans have stuck out a little bit. Here's Cohen Evans to the inside of Dan Banner. He's going to get that pass done, and so will Cale Davidson, but Davidson goes a little bit, that's a Leaf, goes a little bit wide on exit of 2. Cohen Evans is able to make away with the position, but Alif is still side by side with Dan Banner, with Drew Williams close behind, 2 wide through the first chicane, where it all went disastrous for some drivers last time. Both of those cars have a bad exit, and that is going to let Drew Williams into the mix. Dan Banner makes off with the position for now, but Alif still establishing that inside line, even though he is behind, and Drew Williams will tuck in line behind them, as it looks like Daly and Davidson has settled their dispute back behind them down the back straightaway.
Yeah, almost disaster, but avoided by some cooler heads there. You see that bright orange Andrew Williams car in 6th position. And here, can the Ball State car get a little bit of a draft? I don't know that he'll want to pull out, but certainly after the hairpin will be an opportunity for Muhammad Alif. Meanwhile, the leaders continue moving down the track. Dan Banner again. Dan Banner given a lot of room, had great defense earlier, but yeah, that's not going to do the job. And I think that's Muhammad Alif off to the races. Pretty close right now, but I think that they will swap positions. You can see right there that Dan Banner, well, he's not going to give it up, but I assume that Dan Banner will have to back out of this one. And Andrew Williams knows it. Clemson University looking underneath. Could disaster strike here again? No, I think we all agree. Muhammad Alif takes the position. It's the 4th position for Ball State University, and he will set his sights on the leaders. Top of your screen, you can see the Wall of Champions still trying to orchestrate battles. Your scoring tower is...
Stawecki goes around.
Big spin. Cohen Evans.
And he makes contact with Evans.
Right
and that's
there.
a car off behind him. That's Dan Banner collected in that incident. Well, one after another, just a chain reaction. And I think Dan Banner has lost his front wing in that incident, so he will have to come down pit road and get a new nose cone. But that is disaster for what was shaping up to be a great race for Dan Banner and a great comeback from the rear for Cohen Evans as he was marching to the front to try and maybe put up a challenge to Muhammad Alif and Cale Davidson. But disaster has struck in turn one again for these drivers. As what trying to process what we saw there as Andrew Burrell from Clemson University has now assumed the lead over Muhammad Alif, who is now in the second position.
Yeah, Leaf marching forward quite quickly here. He's going to try and put a move. Excuse me, that's Cale Davidson trying to look inside of the 23 car. 23 going to have none of that, though, and actually get a pretty good run, a shallower line. Can he get alongside Stowecki? He's got a little bit of a toe right here. Really solid play from that driver. Yeah, just up under the back, maybe a little bit of a touch right there. I do see some 2X's on the screen, and we can address that in a moment. But down in the final chicane, big run for that 23 car. Clemson University going to try and make this move. He's got the move done by the time the corner's in. An awesome, awesome move from Drew Williams. Brand new sim racing rig in his hands, and I think he's putting it to new use. He's finding his groove.
Muhammad Alif, it looks like, is fighting for the lead with Andrew Burrell at the moment. Those two exchanging hands. It's a three-way battle for the lead as it's Clemson versus UT Arlington versus Ball State, as Muhammad Alif is going to go around the outside of Burrell, and now Burrell relegated into second and fighting for alumni points with Nick Daly from UT Arlington, who dips it into the grass and the curbing to try and establish the inside to Burrell, and he will easily complete that pass into turn 5, or excuse me, that's turn 6 and 7 of this circuit. And now it is once again the Alif show up front. Nick Daly gets through to P2, taking a look at Ryan Wilson from Minnesota State in that 56 car. Let's see what happened to him here. This is going through turn 6, just caught too much of that curbing and a very lazy and slow spin, but lucky for him, was able to keep it out of the wall and not hit anything. He'll be able to keep going. Now Nick Stockner from Clemson University into turn 3 on this lap. We're going to see if he does the exact same thing. No, he locks up the rears and does a little loop-de-loop in that car. Gets into the grass, but it looks like he's able to keep it going there on track. But looking up towards the front, Andrew Burrell will not go gentle into that good night against Nick Daly. He is now within 0.2 of a second for that second position and for the overall, or excuse me, for the alumni class win, as a big wiggle out of Nick Daly, and Drew Williams is into the wall of champions. That is a massive shunt.
Yeah, Drew is wide and not sure if that car is going to make it back around a whole lap, as he will take that behind the wall. We'll have to look at that in a minute. That will make Muhammad Alif's job very easy, because he Drexel and Cohen Evans trying to compete. That is Ishan Bishan from Beloit College. An awesome move into the top 10. That's 9th position for him and for Beloit after a really tough first race, very short first race. You can see right there, he is on the move forward. It looks like Cohen Evans is going to try and stick it in the inside. He leaves room, but defensive into this chicane. Beloit College probably going to give way right here, and going to come back, see if he can have use of the draft, but IUPUI going to march through there. At this point, pretty straightforward for both drivers.
Yeah, that was great defensive driving from Beloit there in the opening parts of that battle. And it looks like Beloit's not quite done yet, but Ishan Bassin will miss the second chicane and gets into the grass. It looks like he's able to keep that car straight, though, and continue racing. But Bassin will lose quite a few positions as he now comes under fire from a few cars behind. Here is a look at the Williams incident as he made contact with the turn 14 wall. That is a heavy, heavy hit into that outside wall, and I think it is safe to say that 23 machine will be retired from this race. We saw him behind the leaders, and a little wiggle there in transition between the two corners in turns 13 and 14. Maybe a little issue with how the weight shifted on that car from right to left. But unfortunate for Williams, he had such a great race put together in sprint race number 2. So unfortunate to see it in that way, but we heard Alif say that in the interview between sprint races that this track demands perfection, and one little mistake can end your day with all these walls everywhere.
Yeah, it really does. There's no margin for error. These two drivers, 61 and 02, no strangers to competition amongst each other from St. Clair College. That's DeWale and Leclerc. DeWale trying to break his way into the top five. You can also see Cale Davidson on your screen. He's got to focus forward. He's got an opportunity to get around Clemson for that final podium position, Zach. So a couple points of interest out there on the scoring tower. In fact, Cohen Williams getting ready to size up his next catch, the Jaguar. And yeah, Dan Banner having to hold off Tyler Klingensmith. Actually, Dan Banner has just completed a pass on Valparaiso's Tyler Klingensmith. But right now, it's Cale Davidson and Ball State University with the draft. Can he make his way onto that final podium step? Andrew Burrell trying to defend, and he will do his best. Don't know if it's going to be this time, but it might be. Down into the final chicane to the Wall of Champions. Still a ways back is the 12 car, and yeah, not this time, but going to try and do his best to stay in position. And still a couple laps left in this one, Zach.
Yep, drivers working on lap 9 of 13 in this second sprint race. The time is winding down as we look back at the Canadian Civil War between Leclerc and DeWale, two St. Clair teammates going at it for position. These two drivers are racing each other for points in the student championship as well as bragging rights within the organization. It's always fun when you're racing teammates out on the track, because then you can say, ha 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 ha, I beat you. So bragging rights on the line and championship points for these two drivers as they are still going at it. DeWale currently out front of Leclerc, but not for long, as we see Jason Wallet and Cohen Evans going at it. Cohen Evans was able to get around that Drexel machine, and IUPUI will advance into the 8th position, where he currently is about 5.25 seconds behind Matt Stowecki in 7th. So still some work to do for Cohen Evans. But looking back at this battle between the two St. Clair cars, you can see Davidson and Burrell going at it yet again just in front of them as they approach the hairpin. One more time, it's DeWale to the outside, leaves the space for Leclerc on the inside, and she will be able to pull alongside, but doesn't get as good of a run out of the corner, and she is going to have to hope and pray that she can use the draft as much as possible to try and get around her teammate, as well as Cale Davidson doing the same to try and get around the 888 machine of Burrell from Clemson University. But it doesn't look like there's going to be any attacks into the final chicane this time by, as Burrell pulls out to a little bit of a lead over Davidson, and DeWale will retain his advantage over Leclerc across the line. No change in the top 5 the top 6 just yet. A little run through the order. Muhammad Alif, currently the leader, has a now 6-second advantage over Nicholas Daly from UT Arlington. Andrew Burrell and Cale Davidson right now duking it out for the 3rd position. That's Clemson and Ball State going at it. And then two St. Clair cars coming to fisticuffs on track. DeWale and Leclerc going at it for the 5th position as we speak. And then Matt Stowecki in 7th. Cohen Evans, who just got by Jason Wallet for the 8th position. And Dan Banner is currently rounding out the top 10. So 3 drivers inside the top 10 for St. Clair tonight as they run. So a good night for our Canadian drivers at their home race.
Yeah, really good showing as we see the 888 grab a bit of curb right there. Could that be enough to let the 17 machine through? Neck and neck down into the to the hairpin. The outside line is not a terrible place to be. It does allow you, Zach, as we just saw, to keep your momentum. Around goes the 888. Burrell for Clemson University. He's going to have to get that pointed in the right direction. A safe rejoin nonetheless, but that's not what he wanted. Yeah, you want to get back on the gas as quickly as you can, but got to have the car pointed the right direction first.
Yeah, this has been a sprint race to forget for Clemson. Multiple incidents and some mistakes from the drivers as Leclerc is able to get around her teammate Zach DeWale and will assume that 4th position between those two St. Clair drivers, as now Cale Davidson is all alone up there out in front, but I think he wants to keep it that way with these two St. Clair drivers still going at it behind him. As Leclerc got really loose coming out of turn 1. DeWale is going to get the better line through turn 2 and a little bit of a better exit as they come down this short chute getting ready for the turn 3-4 chicane. And it doesn't look like much is going to happen there, and I think DeWale is ready to pick and choose his battles with his teammate. He knows how she drives. He knows her tactics like no other driver on the grid, and he's going to wait for these long straightaways to try and get the toe. As actually Leclerc misses the corner. She misses turn 7, and that is going to let DeWale through, so this battle is over for the time being, but it looks like she's going to get it back up to speed just as Matt Stawecki pulls up behind her, and Stawecki's going to look to the outside going into the second backstretch chicane, as they're going to try and set up this battle going into the hairpin on lap 11 of 13. Alif is about to cross the stripe to begin the penultimate lap in this Canadian Grand Prix. Here's Cohen Evans fighting with Andrew Burrell for position overall on the track. Burrell goes to the inside, locks it up just a little bit, and forces Cohen Evans wide. And I'm sure Evans will not be happy at that move, but he is going to have the toe to try and catch up to Burrell down this long front straightaway.
Yeah, down the front stretch, and I'd rather be second in this position as we come to the white flag. I think Cohen Evans is in the right position here. He just needs to hang out for a lap and complete the pass on the way down. But, yeah, Burrell really, really tight on the brakes, locked up, a little bit of understeer, and maybe Cohen Evans doesn't even need to wait. He's going to pull out. Can he get positioned down into the first turn? That Jaguar machine, can it be late enough on the brakes? He's going to put up alongside, but it's a really long right-hander, and I'm not sure that was what he wanted. Now he's going to have to probably wait for at least half a lap, Zach, to make that battle charge back again. But I have to assume he's waiting until the casino straightaway.
Yeah, you do not want to be on the outside of turn 2. There is nothing you can do to get any grip on the outside of the corner. That's not a good place to be, but he is still able to stay just behind that 888 machine from Clemson University. Here now comes the 37 from IUPUI, gets a really good exit at turn 7 down the first back straightaway, and is going to establish himself to the inside for an attack on Burrell. And actually, Burrell outbrakes himself going into the chicane, so another mistake from the driver. Maybe his tires are a little overheated to be effective for his braking points. So another mistake from Clemson relegates them another position. Like I said, another night to forget for Clemson University between the incident at the start of the race with Nick Stockner and Williams getting involved, and then the mistake by Williams where he took a really hard shunt into the wall of champions. And now Burrell, with a couple of mistakes, drops him from 3rd place all the way back to 8th. As we take the white flag this time by, Zach DeWale has now pulled up to the back of Cale Davidson, who seems to have lost a little pace from race 1. As DeWale's going to look to the inside to try and get on the podium at his home race, and they make contact. Davidson goes up in the air on 2 wheels, gets it back straight. We're going to see if he has any suspension damage, but DeWale shoves his way through for that final podium position. And we're going to see if the stewards have anything to say about that, as they are going to investigate that incident. But you know Davidson and Ball State are not happy about that.
Yeah, they probably won't be too thrilled, and I'll be pretty impressed if we get a decision. That didn't look so clear-cut, as looked like the inside car did have position right here. Was Ball State trying to cut it too close? Looks like came out, bounced out a little bit, ran out of track. And so, yeah, it could go either way on that one. Again, Zach, good time to not be a steward tonight. It's much more relaxed up in the booth. But with 12 seconds to Muhammad Alif, in fact, as he comes down right now, this will be his final time into the final chicane and come into that checkered flag. He's earned it. Muhammad Alif through both chicanes, right, left, and there he goes. He'll come by, high five the pit wall, and that'll be the conclusion for the 12 car. Back in the pack, Athena Leclerc. Can she get a rail? Cale Davidson pretty far back, but looks like has the pace back. Cale a bit slow right here. Who goes defensive? Side by side. Cale Davidson's going to try. Can Athena get around the outside? Side by side. They touch, and does complete the pass. Not a 4X to be had. It's clean from the 61. Athena Leclerc to 4th position behind her teammate Zach DeWale. Really good spot right there. And James Madison University does defend Cohen Evans to put, Cohen Evans looks like through the line, and that's a race done. Yeah, really good drive from those drivers. Here's the replay of Athena Leclerc. Actually, a little bit awkward there, late on the brakes, and then just left enough space, and both drivers playing just enough. Zach, for a moment, I thought we were going to go into the wall, the tire barrier there, as we had expected so much, but looks like both drivers survived and agreed on the outcome.
Yeah, Leclerc was on the absolute limit of control in that car through the last corner. That was an incredible late race lunge. Shades of Kevin Magnussen from this weekend against Yuki Tsunoda on that late race lunge for that position. But a great move from Leclerc, and unfortunate for Davidson and Ball State. He had a great sprint race one, but it all fell apart for him there at the end. But everything is all right in the end for Ball State as Muhammad Alif once again tops the podium. He's going on his victory lap here in Montreal as he once again sweeps the sprint races in Formula C.
Yeah, I'm really running out of things to say. Zach Muhammad Alif, another flawless drive. Won the first race by 15 seconds and won this one by 13 seconds, having passed cars from his 10th place inverted starting position. But absolutely stellar drive from Alif here, and had managed the car, managed the race really well, and I think it's a lesson to everybody that keeping the fenders on the car no matter where you start, keeping the car intact will help you finish at the end of the night.
A treat here as Alif does donuts on the front stretch for the fans and to celebrate his sweep. Pop the champagne, Ball State. You get to celebrate 2 victories tonight, as well as 3 total podium finishes across both sprint races. So congratulations again to Alif and Ball State, as I think it is safe to say, more than safe to say, that he has one hand on the trophy for the Formula C Student Championship, as well as Ball State maybe with one hand on the Constructors Championship or the College Championship on the student side as well. But how about let's go ahead and talk to our 3rd place finisher, Zach DeWale of St. Clair College at his home Grand Prix. He finishes on the podium in sprint race number 2. Congratulations. We saw the move on Cale Davidson on that last lap where you two made contact. Great racing between the two of you up until that point, and then we saw you were able to drive away with the position. So take us through that last lap incident, maybe what led to that contact and your
Yeah, yeah. I see. I was just watching the replay. I had the slipstream all the way down the pit straight, and I pulled out. We were even coming into the corner, and I thought I outbraked him, and he tried to swing it around the outside, which is his right. It's the last lap. We're racing, and on my end at least, it looked like netcode. But yeah, I hate that there was contact. I would have rather actually race it around to the line. It's never my intention to get into someone like that. But yeah, completely unintentional. Just it seemed like just netcode struck at the wrong time.
Yeah, Zach, congratulations. P3 here to conclude the final heat race. You also did some battle with the 61 car, your teammate, Athena Leclerc. Walk us through a little bit about that, and how did your judgment come into play, trying not to put both cars through the fence?
Yeah, that was actually, honestly forgot about that. It was a lot of fun though. Yeah, we were just racing really hard to trying really hard not to get into her, because we had some issues last year in the GT3 races of we got into each other a couple times in those races, at the end, coming to good finishes in the GT3s, and we'd hit each other and take each other. It happened a couple times, so we're very conscious of that, I should say now. So I was very careful to keep keep the front wing on both the cars, and keep it out the wall.
Are you and Athena or you and Dan Banner in the same facility driving currently?
No, actually, Athena and Dan might be, but I'm at home. I race from home, so no, that'd have been a little bit awkward though had there been some contact. But no, thankfully I'm at home for today.
Awkward indeed. Well, before we send you on your way, is there anybody that you want to give a thanks to?
For sure. Jordan, Emily, Riley, they were with me for the race. We were talking, so shout out to them, and yeah, it was fun.
That's the spirit. Well, Zach, congrats on P3 and a couple good
Thanks, sir.
battles bringing the car home.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, back up in the booth, Zach. I think that could have been a little bit tricky if there was contact there. For all you viewing at home, Dan Banner, the boss, would not have been so fond of contact between those two team cars.
Yeah, and we've seen them. Those St. Clair drivers love side by side racing. They love racing each other. They always race best around each other, and it always puts on a good show for us up in the booth as well, and you, the viewers watching at home. So we always enjoy seeing it, but most importantly, we love seeing clean racing. And you heard Zach DeWale place the emphasis on the fact that they did it clean. So big shout out to both him and Leclerc for putting on a great show for us. I think we're gonna refer to that as the Canadian Civil War here from here on out this season. Those two drivers going at it. Um, but yeah, always really good, and it feels really good to finish on the podium at your home race. So congratulations again to Zach DeWale on doing exactly that for St. Clair College and for his country, Canada. But for the time being, we're going to move on up the order, and we're going to talk to our second place runner-up finisher tonight in both Sprint Race 1 and 2, Nick Daly from UT Arlington. Nick, congratulations again on another huge points haul in the Alumni Championship. You are the alumni class winner for both sprint races tonight. So congratulations on that. But what I want to ask you, it doesn't look like anybody had anything for our Muhammad Alif tonight. So when you were out there riding around, what was kind of your strategy to either A, trying to catch up to him, or B, trying to keep everybody else behind?
Yeah, man. Props to Leaf. He had mega pace today. Yeah, I just had nothing for that. And pretty much once I saw the qualifying time, I was like, yeah, I'm not quite there yet. So yeah, I was still trying to learn the track through the first race and second race, trying to figure out where I could find some time. But then I really just ended up making mistakes and losing more time. So yeah, it's okay. Yeah, just kept it clean and made it to the checkered flag.
Well, these finishes and these wins will launch you into the lead of the Alumni Championship as we look towards Watkins Glen in round 6 next time around. So are you gonna try and change anything up, or are you gonna stick with how you're running things, knowing that you are the leader going with 2 races left?
Yeah, feeling pretty comfortable as long as Ted maybe doesn't show up. You never know, he might show up. But yeah, no, just gonna keep doing my best, keeping it clean.
Yeah, Nick, we're familiar with that blue car with a really quick pace and a lot of battles tonight. Were you surprised at the competition or surprised maybe at the pace of the field?
Yeah, I was surprised how quick Alif was. But this track is pretty technical. You know, it feels like there's like 6 chicanes and one corner, just the hairpin. That feels like a normal corner, but yeah, it takes a little bit to learn, and it's as we saw at the beginning of the race when all the cars are bunched up, it's pretty easy to have an incident because it gets pretty narrow in the chicanes. Like I tried to go too wide with Cohen Evans twice in that final chicane, and it's it's tough.
Yeah, the track is narrow and the racing line is more narrow still. Is there anybody you want to give a thanks before we turn you loose?
Yeah, shout out to University of Texas Arlington, UTA racing team. Thank you guys for putting on a great broadcast, and thank you to all the viewers for watching.
All right. Well, congrats again on second place, Nick. We had a blast watching.
Thanks.
And that was your second place finisher, the Texas at Arlington driver, Nick Daly. And getting pretty familiar with that spot on the podium, but you heard him say it was tough to get the maximum pace from the car.
Yeah, it is very tough to pilot these cars around this track. This is one of the more difficult ones on the calendar this season, as we heard Alif say in his interview between the two sprint races. So it looked like I said before, a lot of drivers out there on eggshells just trying to get the car around. And it looked like, based off of what we saw on the broadcast, that was the key to success: was minimizing mistakes, keeping the car out of the wall, keeping it straight and not backwards. And all of our front runners did an incredible job at doing that. And they found success, and they were rightfully rewarded for their pace and for their lack of mistakes. But we're going to go ahead and talk once again to the man of the hour. Muhammad Ali from Ball State completes yet another sweep in both sprint races in Formula C, this time the Canadian Grand Prix. Good to see you again. Welcome back. We need to become, I think we're starting to become good friends now, buddies up here in the booth with how often you're up here. But
Yeah.
Congratulations on another race. Good to see you up here up front again. But I'm going to ask you the same question that I did Nick. You now have sole possession of the lead going into the penultimate Grand Prix of the season. You are, without a doubt, the Student Points Championship leader, and with a pretty considerable margin. So is that going to change how you drive the next two races of the season, or are you just going to keep on keeping on per se?
Yeah, just probably gonna keep it on. I think there's no point really risking anything at this point of the championship. Yeah, 2 more rounds to go. But yeah, it was a wild race. I think first time we've had a caution in any road race. So yeah, it was quite crazy.
Yeah, that was my curiosity for this one. In the second heat, in the first lap, you had a 10th position start. What was your reaction to the all the excitement on the first lap?
Yeah, I just didn't want to DNF. That was the priority. I saw a car just ramming into me. I think into turn one, two, I think four. So I just took the escape road. Luckily, I did that. If not, I think I would have been collected by another car. And from then on, it was just just risk management. Nicholas was just behind me, and yeah, just after we got the lead, it was just trying to pull away and get the fastest lap.
Yeah, well, congratulations on two race wins tonight, and yeah, a job well done. Is there anybody that you would like to thank and shout out before you head out?
Yeah, my teammates, Kale and our esports director Dan Marino. My parents are watching now, so as my friends are all watching, and all the viewers really. And yeah, I gotta thank you guys for once again. I think bringing a lot of excitement in the commentary booth. And yeah, see you guys in 2 weeks.
Yeah, we will see you as well at Watkins Glen in 2 weeks. Congratulations on a really strong evening, Alif.
Thank you.
That was race winner Muhammad Ali from Ball State University. We have said it enough to probably record that statement, Zach, and play it at the conclusion of these events. He has been consistent and he has been fast, and I don't expect that to change for the balance of the season.
Yeah, he is without a doubt one of the best drivers that we currently have and have ever had in the CIL. Doesn't matter what series he's in, if it's the short track showdown, the College Cup series, or here in Formula C, he will be fighting for a title. And in fact, the Leaf is one of the contenders for the regular season championship in the College Cup series coming up very soon. So it'll be nice to see if he can rack up the trophies this season. I know we sent him a pretty big packet of certificates last season, but the one that wasn't included was the Formula C championship. And like I said earlier, I think he realizes that that was the one that got away, and he is ready for that comeback. You heard him talk about he was driving with vengeance from Road Atlanta last week. I think he's been driving this entire season with vengeance from last season, but he has put together a clinic and a half this season, and he has dominated the field.
Yeah, it's been exciting to watch him at work and see some of the other drivers at work, and so Yeah, I'm excited. Watkins Glen, we know usually pretty popular, and a lot of drivers will have their secrets and their pace at that track. So in 2 weeks' time, Zach, looking forward to Watkins Glen. I expect a Leaf will be fast. I expect he won't be the only.
That is just it's just a fast track in general. In fact, I believe it is one of the fastest on the calendar this season. It's also a toss up. We saw there last season. We had some surprise top five and podium finishers after a couple of big incidents that took out the heavy hitters. But it'll certainly be an exciting race. I can't wait for it. But Alif, Davidson currently leading their respective championships. Alif, the student leader, or not Davidson. Daly, excuse me, currently leading the alumni championship, and we will see how everything stacks up behind them this week. So be sure you pay attention to CIL social medias for those points drops and releases as they come out this week. But it'll certainly be heating up for the rest of the season as we are getting ready to wind things down here in the CIL. We're coming close to the end of the season. That was round 5 of our spring 2023 Formula C season, which has now come to a close. And Ball State and Muhammad Alif have stated their cases for their title chance. And after this race, the championship will heat up even more as we head to our penultimate round at Watkins Glen International for our Finger Lakes Grand Prix in 2 weeks. This is sure to be the fastest, most intense race of the season. But before then, we have a regular season champion to crown in the College Cup Series. Alif, Jason Wallet, Jared Kaler, and Zach DeWale are in the hunt for the regular season title, with many other drivers fighting for their bid in the first ever College Cup Series playoffs. But to do so, they must survive the game of chance that is Talladega Superspeedway in our Alabama 160. This is sure to be the most exciting race of the CIL season thus far, so be sure to tune in next Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern for the Alabama 160, and stick around next Wednesday for round 5 of the inaugural Student Short Track Showdown, the Richmond Rumble. Tune in and see if anyone can catch Ethan Johnston as he marches his way towards the STS trophy. And I believe, Josh, that'll wrap it up for us. So on behalf of the Collegiate iRacing League, myself, co-commentator Josh, and producer Matt, we want to thank you for tuning in to tonight's Canadian Grand Prix, and we hope to see you all soon. Congratulations again to all of our podium finishers, and until next time, stay fast.